Hello and welcome to another episode of the Driven Job podcast. My name is Peter Muneme, also known as Barca DNA on Twitter, and today will be a nice video here, a weekend recap covering Barca's 5-3 win against Real Betis and Real Madrid's loss to Celta Vigo at the Santiago Bernabeu, which sees Barca extend their lead to 4 points at the top of the league table. And so, without further ado, let's get to it. What a weekend this is. If you are a culé, what a weekend for FC Barcelona, extending their lead to 4 points at the top of the table. A remarkable comeback after the loss at the Classico left Barca 5 points behind Real Madrid, and yet in the span of just over a month, Barca have more than recovered that lead. They now themselves lead the pack by 4 points. A really good win against Real Betis here, following from their win against Atletico Madrid. And it really feels like, at least domestically, Barca right now are starting to hit their stride. I think the return to the Camp Nou was a massive boost to them since that point against Atletico, Alaves, Atletico, and now Real Betis. Whilst these performances haven't been perfect, they haven't been the most convincing, at least in some of the matches, what you're starting to see is a Barcelona team, especially in their last two games, build some confidence, build some momentum, release some pressure off of themselves, and they're starting to grow into the league season. They're starting to put their foot down, and it's coming at a very good time as Real Madrid are practically in free fall. But what I want to begin this video by doing is just discussing what we saw at the weekend between Barca and Betis first, before discussing Real Madrid against Celta Vigo. The first thing that I have to discuss is I love what Flick did by playing Lamine Yamal in the number 10 position and giving a start to Rooney Badaji. Rooney Badaji had not received any minutes in the last 5 games, and so there was a window of time here for Flick to give him a chance to start a game like this and say, go ahead and show me what you can do. And boy, did Rooney Badaji deliver. His understanding with Koundé and Lamine Yamal was absolutely exquisite, especially for a player who hadn't been part of the fold for so many games. He came in and he fit the system like a glove. Likewise, Lamine Yamal in the number 10 position was like a duck that took to water. Barca were absolutely phenomenal in that general understanding there between those three players. They built triangles all over the pitch. There was a very good idea for them to combine, to run into space, to take their opponents on. Watching Lamine Yamal in central positions tear through the Celta Vigo midfield, or rather the Real Betis midfield, was joyous. I mean, he was running rings around them at will. He was drawing fouls. He was beating 2 or 3 players. He was opening up the pitch. And it just seemed like Lamine Yamal was having fun. He was genuinely enjoying himself in every single moment in that position. And likewise, Rooney Badaji really grew in confidence in this game. He really seemed to take his game to another level there in stride. And I have to say, I was so impressed with how he conducted himself. Barca as a whole didn't begin the game too well. They did concede in the opening minutes, but responded in kind. Anthony scoring the opening goal for Real Betis. Barca responding very quickly there through the work of Lamine Yamal, Rooney Badaji, and Jules Koundé. Lovely interplay and combinations. Rooney Badaji then releases Koundé in behind. Koundé plays the ball across the face of goal, very similar to his last assist against Real Betis away from home last season. And Ferran Torres, the beneficiary, scores the tap-in. It's 1-1, and within a minute, Barcelona kept attacking, kept putting Betis under pressure. 1 minute later, Rooney Badaji, lovely skill, step over there, beat his opponent 1v1, cross into the box. Ferran Torres, fantastic finish there. A scissor kick through the legs of the goalkeeper into the back of the net. And from that point, Barca were flying. They were brimming of confidence. The system was working. And again, they just seemed to me today like the Barca of last season, where they would maybe concede the first goal, but they would score goals in bunches. And that's exactly what happened today. Barcelona, once they smelt blood in the water, they did not stop. And Betis could not live with the fluidity between Lamine Yamal and Rooney Badaji. They did not know what spaces to pick up. They did not know what holes to plug up. And what was so fun was there was so much emphasis on trying to stop Lamine Yamal that there were times when even Eric Garcia, from a CDM position, could venture forward there and almost get in behind. There were times when Balde had space to run into, Pedri had space. I mean, it was just really, really fun to watch that they were so much attention focused and fixated there on trying to contain Lamine Yamal in that 10 that it gave so many players freedom there, like Rooney Badaji, like Koundé, like Ferran Torres. And that's what we saw for the third goal there. Pedri picks up the ball. Attention on Lamine Yamal leaves Rooney Badaji wide open. Pedri finds the pass. Rooney Badaji once again 1v1. Shifts the ball onto his right foot, his supposed weaker right foot, and he strikes a beautiful ball here. It's a sensational finish. The ball whips past the goalkeeper into the top corner. Rooney Badaji right there and then announces himself as a Barca player. His first goal in La Liga, a goal and an assist against Real Betis at the La Cortuja Stadium. A phenomenal first half there for Rooney Badaji. And for Barca as a whole, it would only get better as Ferran Torres there completed his hat-trick, once again set up by Pedri. He cuts inside, Ferran Torres goes for a shot. Big deflection, takes it past the goalkeeper. Barca 4, Betis 1. It's game over. Second half kicks off. Betis trying to claw their way back into the game, trying to perhaps get a consolation, but Barca would kill the game dead at 5-1 thanks to a penalty kick there to Lamine Yamal. Now, I have to say this, for me, this wasn't a pen. It's a poor choice there by the referee. Rashford goes for goal. The ball hits off the thigh of Bartra onto his arm. For some reason, this goes to VAR. Terrible call in the end. Lamine Yamal gets the spot kick. He scores. Great conversion there, unlike a certain player last week. And Barca, at that point, were up by 5-1. We're able to make rotations there, rest players ahead of the Champions League. Rafinha was given a complete rest this weekend. Pedri was taken off as well. And so Barca just being able to really there rotate players, and they did lose their stride a little bit. They did lose their shape as well when they were playing. We did see a very good cameo, though, from Marc Bernal. I have to say he was, for me, my favorite player to watch in that second half. Every touch he had seemed to be efficient. He seemed to be, again, not weak in duels. He was pulling off some lovely dribbles there, getting past players, using those long legs of his, drawing fouls. He just looked to me to be a few steps sharper than we've seen him in recent games. So Marc Bernal clearly building up his fitness, his confidence in his body. And for me, it's a pleasure to see a player like that recovering after the ACL injury that he suffered last season. I really hope that come the end of this campaign, Marc Bernal is truly back to his best. He's a player who has a massive future at this club and one who I would love to see leading the base of Barca's midfield for years to come. So ultimately, Barca did concede 2 goals at the end as well. They lost their focus a little bit there and made the game somewhat hairy for themselves as they approached full time. A goal there conceded from a set piece and one from the penalty spot. So ultimately for Barca, again, the questions defensively still remain. They're still not fully there, not fully perfect. Although one player who I do want to give another shout out to is Gerard Martin. Yet again, I was very, very impressed by how he carried himself in this game. I continue to say it, but he's really growing into that role as a left-sided center back. Now, there's still a lot of games for him to play this season, a lot of big tests for him to pass before we can think of him as a genuine option in that position. But with each passing game, he continues to grow, he continues to improve and really mature into a well-rounded defender. Now, I have to also give massive plaudits to Ferran Torres. There is no way that Ferran Torres scores a hat trick and I don't talk about it and give him credit, especially given that I've been very, very critical of him as of late for missing chances in big games. And yet today, of course, there was a bit of luck there in the hat trick, but he still deserves massive credit. It's a very, very good display from Ferran Torres, starting in place of Lewandowski, making it count. The key thing for Ferran Torres, though, why he's such a polarizing figure, is that he can have games like this. We've seen him score hat tricks before against Germany. We saw it against Betis as well a few seasons ago. He's capable of having these games. The issue with Ferran Torres is, can this be replicated in a big game? Could you do something like this against Real Madrid? Could you do something like this in the Champions League? Could you do something like this on a regular basis? That's going to be the question that Ferran Torres has to answer. Now, in his defense this season, he actually has been very, very efficient and is on right now for his best campaign in a Barca shirt, and perhaps even his best campaign ever as a player. Right now, he's in very, very good form. The key, though, is that this has to be a regular fixture of his game. What can't happen is that he takes off here and then in a few weeks or in the next game, he misses yet another big chance. He's indecisive. His general play suffers. The one thing with Ferran Torres is, whilst he can score goals and be a fox in the box, a lot of the time his general play does seem to suffer in terms of leading the line as a striker. And so what I hope for Ferran Torres is, if he is going to continue to improve, that he does become a more well-rounded striker as a whole. That being said, he deserves full credit today, or rather over the weekend here, for his hat trick. It was a really, really good display from him, and it's put Barca in a very, very good position. Now, moving on to Real Madrid's humbling defeat against Celta Vigo. This was quite a funny game to watch because Real Madrid really seemed very passive, and of course they are rocked by injuries right now as well, but really it was quite funny that Real Madrid were really, really, really bad against Celta Vigo here and seemed to only wake up when they were down to 10 men. That was the only time that they actually showed some urgency, that they actually tried to create chances. But it was funny how passive they were against Celta Vigo and how easy it was for Celta to play through them when they had 11 men. Celta actually lost their cool in the game and a bit of confidence in themselves when they were a man up, funnily enough. But in the end, they were able to see the game through. They defended well. And Real Madrid, as the game got more and more derailed, more and more intense, they just seemed to get sucked up in the emotion and lost their heads there. Several players getting yellow carded, some getting sent off. Xavi Alonso there having words with the referee. It just became a whole mess, really. And in the end, Real Madrid down to 9 men. Paredes gets sent off, and then Celta Vigo, to cap off the game, score a last-minute goal to make it 2-0, a clean sweep out of the Bernabeu, which sees Barcelona climb to 4 points clear at the top of the table. Who would have seen this coming after Barca lost in the Classico just about over a month ago, and yet they've recaptured their lead at the top of the table. They've made up the ground. A very similar story to last season when Barca were at one point 10 points behind Real Madrid, and yet Madrid, within a month, bottled the league title. You've seen it again this season now. I have to make this clear. This does not automatically mean that Barca are going to win the league. We are nowhere near speaking on that as an assurance. Barca still have a lot to do this season. They still have a lot to do in the league itself to fully convince that they are going to genuinely win this league again. Right now, this team is still not fully convincing. You've seen it against Betis, that this team is still conceding goals early. They still don't start games well. They don't deal with set pieces well at all. And this team still has frailties that they have to answer for. You aren't going to be able to score 5 goals in every single game. You cannot keep relying on teams to consistently be outscored if you're Barcelona. And likewise, you have to find a way to start keeping some clean sheets. Right now, we're not seeing that from Barca. We keep seeing this team in every game giving a team at least 1 to 2 to 3 good chances, and a better team than Betis on another day puts those in the back of the net, and Barca suffer as a result. So we do have to be cautious here. Barca have shown some good form in recent weeks, and it has led them to the top of the table. But this team, not for a second, can get complacent and assume that the league is wrapped up. There's a long, long way to go. We are only in the opening weeks of December, and Barca still have a lot to do in order to defend their league title. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate your time and attention today. I will see you very, very soon for Barca's next game in the Champions League as they look to build on this momentum going forward. And so, until then, take care, stay safe, and Visca Barça.